So the journey that Emma was on all season, I feel like personally she was one of the strongest, most consistent characters. And yet, when she killed Jacob, even though she loved him as much as she did, everybody was like, could she do that? They didn't want to maybe rationalize that was what she needed to do.
Right.
When you were reading that before you filmed that, were you in a similar position? Did you feel like maybe the decision shouldn't have happened?
No, it made sense to me. You know, and I talked to Kevin Williamson, I talked to our director Marco Siega about it a lot in terms of clarifying it. But I think the story that was told in that episode, it made so much sense. And aside from the reactions on Twitter, it was an action motivated by compassion, because he had obviously come to a point where he didn't want to be in this life anymore, and he had nowhere else to go. All of his options were over. She blamed herself for having brought him into it and turned him into that person who she had been. He had been this source of humanity to her, and she kind of stripped him of that. And so this was the one thing she could do to give back to him. And at the same time, it took away all of the conflict. There was a peace afterwards.
But it's interesting that you just said that he was her humanity, because then where does that leave her now?
I don't know. I don't know. I have such hope that Emma will find some kind of identity and autonomy and strength of her own, but we'll see. That's never really been her defining characteristic.
Well, and I mean, if she strays too far, I mean, then she kind of doesn't have a purpose in the show, and we wouldn't want to lose
right.
you.
No,
so.
no, we don't want that, no.
How far could...
Nothing but devotion.
Well, have you talked, I mean, to Kevin about season 2, about your role, and how, you know, if Emma will still be as important in the plan or in the next stage as she has been thus far?
I'm, like, we all are very much in the dark about season 2, about who's even going to be involved in season 2, because the way that the finale ends, it's very open-ended, and, you know, I think we're getting set up for big changes in the story and the way that it's going to be told. Okay. So, you know, hopefully Emma will be around doing her thing, but we'll see.
What was the biggest surprise for you in season 1, either moment or scene that when you were filming it and then watched it back later you weren't expecting? Either the emotional impact of it or just the gravity to it?
I think one of the actually most surprising scenes to me, and it was surprising when I was shooting it, what I found when we were filming it, was actually the shower scene.
Okay.
Not because of, you know, the
Standards
implied threesome.
Oh, okay.
But because, you know, standing in the bathroom, shooting that scene beforehand with Aiden, with Paul, before we actually got in the shower, and having this moment of vulnerability that Emma in the present has never been able to have, and how emotional that act was for her. That was surprising to me to discover as an actor.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. It's good to see you.